Guys, welcome to Crypto Adventure. Today we will check out how far blockchain technology has been used in real business. Which blockchain programming language has the most future potential, and how to become successful blockchain developer from zero. And as always, we have the perfect guest, Roberto Capodieci, CEO from Blockchain Zoo, a consulting firm. So Roberto has been a natural-born developer, learning coding since 5 years old, and also getting early to the decentralization technology since 2005. So Blockchain Zoo, his consulting firm, provides a complete solution from consulting to implementation of Layer 1 blockchain services. For traditional companies who wants to explore advantage of using blockchain technology in their operations. His clients comes from a wide range of industries, banks, advertising, insurance, and supply chain. So Roberto, it's been a blessing to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. It's my honor to be your guest.
Sure. Okay, let's jump right into it.
Sure.
From your personal exposure as a blockchain consulting firm, can you share with us which industries are currently looking into and potentially using blockchain technology in their business? And what are their main reasons to use blockchain technology?
Okay, well, I have to say that as blockchain came out, there has been a lot of reactions. Some people were scared, some government opposed them, but the financial sector in general appreciate it and start investing in exploring. So they've been the pioneers beside the other side of the blockchain. There is Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency, the first to explore the use of blockchain, not only for financial remittance, but for many other uses. Other being followed by them, always in the financial sector, but more the collateral. So insurance company have been also adopter of experiment. They did a lot of POC in various businesses, sub-businesses, some set other business. And then slowly the request became large. So we had a solution that used blockchain to manage advertising space, so billboard rather than occupancy in a mall for the rental of small spaces or a small shop. Many things been consulting health to manage data, but there has been a huge period where people wanted to put blockchain everywhere, just because was the big word to have in order to sell or to have their stock prices goes up, etc., etc. Honest project were really a small percentage, but there have been some interesting applications. The reason why blockchain, as I was saying, a lot just for the PR buzz they could take out of it, but some also because, in fact, blockchain allow not to have to elect one party to manage all the data. So when there are many parties working together with blockchain, they can work together directly without to having to elect somebody that, is a central point of knowledge that is sometimes not really good.
Well, that's a great insight. And to move further on that, from your point of view, can you share what business or industry can benefit the most by using blockchain technology? And what are the main obstacles for them to use blockchain technology?
Well, I would say that there are some perfect marriages with blockchain. Supply chain is one of the cases, right? Trade, I did in 2014 a white paper on using blockchain for trade and trade finance. So wherever documentation or authorization signatures need to travel among different countries where you have different legislation, different format, even different languages. Having a platform that has some minimum common denominator, there is not just a paper and pen, because there are many places where they still have to write by paper and send it by courier back and forward, has facilitated the processes. And when there are millions of dollars of cargo that depends on document, speeding up of a few days means a lot of money interest that are freed. So has a very strong value. So all the supply chain in terms of evaluating component parts, the pharmaceutical industry, for example, use the blockchain to find out if somebody scam and put bad ingredient in the medicines. Rather than coffee industry, did a lot to see all the process of the coffee for the consumer, and also to gaining carbon credit. There is all the carbon credit industry that is using blockchain to manage between different party project financing and the carbon credit themselves. And this is a little bit the old part. And now with Web3, there is all these things with the metaverse, digital identities, digital assets that are not just NFT, but the kids can buy in the video game their accessory for their avatar, they can resell. And blockchain is really helping to make it possible in a very easy way. So all the gaming world is the next step of the adoption of blockchain, with all the Web3 in large, which means also identities connected to all these things that are virtual. Because after all, the blockchain, what brought us the big revolution is the singularity of digital asset, right? I can make a copy of an MP3 file and give it to you, and we don't know which is the original, but I cannot make a copy of my Bitcoin and give it to you. If I could do that, the Bitcoin would be worthless. But in the moment that I give you the Bitcoin, I don't have it anymore. And this is the enabler of a lot of use cases where blockchain is the key.
From your explanation, I'm really interested on the main matches such as supply chain and insurance sectors. Well, at what stage are blockchain implemented presently on the supply chain and the insurance business? Is it like still developing trial, or have they used it in their day-to-day operations now?
Well, there are interesting places like Singapore or in Switzerland. They have this blockchain valley, this crypto valley, and there is government that are enabling, because after all, technology-wise, you can do what you want. The regulators are the ones that need to make the technology possible to be used for things that are important. But there are countries like Germany that already have authorized assetization of real estate. So a big building, which investment is 100 millions, before can go one or two investors that come together. But now you can assetize it up to $100 pieces. So you can actually crowdfund the project and give people back the revenue because the assetization is possible. And so a lot of banks are reaching to offer custodial services to their client and assetization services as a financial product as well. So the possibility to tokenize some set of investment, other things, and using the blockchain, this is much cheaper than creating the application, guaranteeing the quality, having all the rule book and legal book, because that's the transparency. There are some blockchain that are specialized for financial sector, like Corda, Receive, rather than some large company like IBM or other consulting company. They have their own products that are giving around. Else, Ethereum, because of the smart contract, became the most popular tool to provide this kind of services.
I'm curious, from your background as a developer and a practitioner yourself, how do you see the future of this multiple types of blockchain programming language? Would most blockchain be dominated by Solidity programming language, or can it be more a diverse ecosystem where blockchain uses many different programming language, and why?
All right. Well, there is an analogy. When they invented the telephone, each city started their own telephone network. So there were hundreds of different companies. They use different voltage in their cables. They use different standards. That's why people had to go through the operator. They physically had to unplug and plug jacks to connect one person to another or one city to another. Slowly, they moved towards standards in order to become compatible. And we are seeing this thing in the process much faster pace in the blockchain as well, where some stuff is not because it's the best stuff, just because it's the most common, become the one that is offered as a standard in order to make it easily compatible, let's say, between chain. Solidity, I better don't tell you my honest opinion because I will be not very polite. Is not, to me, the best way to code, but something for the centralized platform. But I cannot avoid to the fact that is the most common and most used. So, we have to accept. Microsoft created a huge trouble with the 640 kilobyte limit of memory when they did MS-DOS, and we drag it along with Windows many versions, right? Those some choices that become standard. Sometimes we think it's normal that a computer keep crashing. It's not normal. It's actually been made bad and became the standard. Once you have hundreds of applications implemented on top of it, how can you change the base and ask everybody to recode everything? So Solidity is going to dominate the market for a long time, but that's not the best solution. There are for sure much better solutions to have decentralized applications that are much more functional, complex, fast, and optimized than the way the Solidity work with AVM.
Well, that's an intriguing answer. Makes me want to dig in more. But okay, so from I kept thinking about the recent crypto hacks. It's been through bridges that connects individual blockchains. Can you share with us your views about the next step of connection between blockchains? Will it still be through bridges, and why?
Okay, so, well, those bridges are mostly centralized. So there are some servers that actually function as a bridge, in fact. So they have the two blockchain. And the reason with smart contract to give a bridge between the two parties, right? Or a small set of, a small constellation of servers that do this thing. The problem with this thing is not that is the bridge that is weak, is there are blockchain, look Solana. Oh, everybody sees the best thing in the world, but it was the virtual machine was wrong, so smart contract hacked, not because they were bad programmed, but because the virtual machine was wrong. The code that didn't work, it had issue, so it kept having trouble. And like this, many other, because there is so much greed, so much willing to put out a new product so fast, that is unavoidable that there are bugs, there are issues that can be exploited for money. And if I am even the most honest hacker of the world and I find a bug that can provide me like $100 million, $200 million tomorrow, I mean, the temptation is very hard to remain silent and then plugged, So, people need to understand that the centralized system is a much more complex piece of software compared to a centralized system. It required a long time to implement the code, the architecture, but 10 times more for testing it. Testing the centralized system is super complex. It's not easy. We had implemented layer one solution. We had a room full of Raspberry Pi to run nodes physically and try to do the most possible kind of combination of attacks. Because it is so complex and so slow to boot up, start up, see the condition that can be caused in very different moments. So a lot of these hacks are done. Some are inside jobs, and let's put those on the side. Most of the other are due to the speed of deployment. And probably people that put the money ask the developer to be fast, and developer have no capacity to tell them, hey, it's wrong. We're going to be in trouble if we release so fast. They do, or they don't understand security, which is another possibility. And the trouble is easy consequence of this all. Yeah.
Well, I really like how you can share us your point of view as a developer, so we can really understand from the people making the code. And I can't help but notice there's a little bit similarity on how you approach things with Cardano, like taking longer things to develop.
We need to pay attention. Yeah. There are also projects where young kids find themselves with hundreds of millions of dollars, buy a nice Ferrari, go out party, and then the delivery is slow, not because they're doing their job properly, just because they're not working. So that's another side of the, but in a work done properly, both those people that finance the project, people that is executing the project, they need to understand there are procedures that take time, and trying to have things faster is just a request of trouble. I had a lot of clients that when I tell them how long it's going to take, somebody go faster, but I go with them and then come back to me crying because that's the process that happened.
Yes, and in the world which is accustomed to instant things, we need processes. Well, I think that's a good segue to touch on your experience as a coder yourself. Can you share the most efficient and realistic steps that a person can take to become a blockchain developer, assuming that he knows nothing about programming?
Well, sometimes knowing nothing about programming means that there is a certain part of learning that has to be done anyway in coding. Sometimes very experienced developers of standard application, client server, or just local deployment have much more hard time to move to decentralized solutions because the architecture is completely different. So mentally, the way that you need to structure your piece of software is so different that is hard to understand. So knowing nothing probably is better because put somebody in the condition of immediately thinking with the decentralized platform methodology. But there is, thanks to God, a lot of content in YouTube, and there is really unlimited amount of lecturers and people sharing knowledge. It's the same blockchain try to push developer to code on their own platform. So there is plenty of knowledge. There are two choices I would like to say that the people can do. One is to fall in the virtual machine, so coding Solidity. It's like going diving, okay? You can start diving from here and then stop here. And then you can make a lot of money, do a lot of interesting things, but you don't really know what is the engine underneath that runs everything. Another choice is to really go down on the bottom of the blockchain and then learn how to program consensus mechanics, how to program transaction types. That's what we do practically. We create blockchain with functionality that are specific for a certain industry, and that's ideal. But there are very few developers that go down there because it's very easy to stop at the first level already making good money. That why they should sweat and work more to go down. But
yeah. And can you share some of the online resources that helped you most on your journey to learn about blockchain programming?
But when I started, there was nothing, right? So I worked in a project that was called NXT, Next, now it's called Ardor, that was the first non-clone of Bitcoin blockchain and proof of stake in 2013, 14. And that helped to understand the mechanics of decentralized, which I already had in my mind thanks to Torrent, BitTorrent, but all the procedure of applications that are decentralized. Consider NXT had the marketplace messaging, had already the tokens, all these things before Ethereum even existed. Okay, so those were because unfortunately people consider the quality of a technology based on the value of the token. So if the token is very valuable, then technology must be amazing. If the token doesn't worth anything, the technology must be bad, which is absolutely unrelated. One is the effect of the marketing and market making that people do on a token, and another is the technology, in fact, the quality. So NXT had the misfortune to have a token that was worth nothing, but the technology that was amazing. And the last layer one that I implemented, where I invested a lot of money to do, was following the same issue, was following to have a technology was amazing and a token that would be worth nothing because I'm very bad on finance, on crypto finance. I'm not good there. So I managed to stop the project, make it, and wait for a good use case in order to then wrap it up with something that can be worth of note and then a value as well. So people can do this thing. Token is worth good, then the technology is good, right?
Yeah. Well, based on your experience and your journey as a blockchain programmer, can you suggest the most realistic ways that a newbie blockchain programmer, so they've just finished learning, what can they do to get their first job, as well as be a part of the blockchain developer community?
But there are a lot of open source applications on blockchain that ask for help. and give out a little bit of money for people to help out under the form of bounties, or they say, hey, we need this thing implemented, people participate, and then they receive some income. Sometimes that's a very good way to become part of a small family, because people working around the project are very compact, and is also a good opportunity to learn a lot from other people. Then people that mature in this area can start selling their work as a freelance, because they have a base to work on. But if they are new, the best way is to do that, in my opinion.
Well, it's been precious opportunity talking with you. Thank you for sharing your insights. For viewers who has a business, go ahead and check out Roberto's consulting firm, Blockchain Zoo.
Yeah.
They have a wide range of products and services to maximize your business using blockchain. Link will be in the bio. So, Roberto, any last words for our audience?
Well, I think in the evolution, the information era, we're moving toward decentralization. We like it or not, we're going to go in that direction. So catching the wave at the right moment allow us to surf it well and, be there when everybody else needs us. So it's a good golden moment.
Well, see you on our next adventure.
Bye.
Bye.